Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Ankit and I am a 3D character artist for games. So today in this video, this is part 2 of Substance Painter. In this video, I will show you the basics, fundamentals, and which is very important to design any kind of texture. Where fundamentals of Substance Painter and various key features or key combination of layers and material to create a realistic object. So let's start with this tutorial. First, we will get a question why we use Substance Painter. So Substance Painter are basically a kind of extreme tool. It is an industrial standard of any industry, of a gaming industry. So it is main tool to use in AAA game studio to create a texture, and as you can see, it also used in any film studio also. So the big difference between Substance and other texturing tool like Mudbox, it's like a Photoshop. Like if any other software, you need to create individual maps like color maps, channel maps, roughness maps, and all kind of maps you have to create individually. But in Substance Painter, you can paint directly on the object. You can paint on material itself. So we are painting with material means, for example, you can see this is a sphere, a gold sphere, and having some dirt on it. So let us look at the little bit more into the main features of this painter and pure basically the most important stuff in Substance. So I'm going to be this here. You can see the layers, and it's like a Photoshop. You remember you guys how to use the Photoshop, the layer to layer. So here we can create a different layer, and here on left we have some icons, and we are going to re-embed the features of Photoshop. So by for now I'm going to create a layer here, and let's see, I have some layer. So, and coming down here we have axis of different parameter of PVA material here. This is color, height, roughness, and channel, and there is many more in this metal and normal. Let's go with other parameters like you can see in my fill layer, I can fill the base color to red right here, and then the roughness, I can also change the roughness which is little shiny, and if I change the value from 0 to 1, 0 means super rough and 1 means super shiny. So then we also have this material metallic right now here. So example, for the roughness I can drop whatever I want here, and I start to have variance to my roughness directly on material here. So this is the advantage of Painter. So that is fill layer. Now I create also a paint layer, so which is basically another type of layer. The main difference is that we can directly paint using brush strokes, and the difference material like this, and like roughness here you can see I can paint with a different color with different properties or parameter like roughness, shining, depth, height, and all. So here it is, and then the next one, my height is done here. Now you can easily can see on the surface we have little depth and little rise on surface. So you can see each stroke is can be different material. If I change the property here, each stroke is different. So let's remove the metallic, and let's put maybe some normal, and going to here this kind of things. You can see we have some I have some added some kind of alpha kind of. So the main difference between fill layer and paint layer is that if I can at this point I can back and I can change my fill layer and I can change any of this property here, but I cannot do with this my paint layer. So now maybe you are kind of shiny, and then I cannot do it on paint layer because paint layer is locked. So it's done. It's one brush stroke and you are done. So those are very important stuff to remember that. So the paint layer and the fill layer. So now I'm going to kind of delete it. Now there is another option called fill layer that I'm going to fill into a red color. Now like Photoshop, I'm going to use the mask to reveal some other properties of layers, because that's a fill layer. I mean, I can come here and I can add or change black mask or a white mask in this case. So I'm going to add a black mask, and using my brush I can just go in and paint because I'm painting a white color here. So I can move my slider here and I can change to black, and I'm going to obviously to kind of erase, but I'm not really erasing, I'm just masking it. So I can also press X key which will allow me to snap between black and white here. You can see here on this panel, on this preview panel, my shader and my material, and here is my preview of brush stroke, and here is also I can change the sizes and all things. So we are going to talk about it later. So that I will allow me to change the size of brush and intensity and all kind of stuff. So you guys see a lot of that right, and you are going what we are going to light and in this substance painter. So we will continue with this basics introduction of lighting and rendering properties of V-Ray. So as you can see, I press shift key and right mouse button, I can rotate my IBM lighting here, this kind of simulation. So right, I'm going to tell you later how to snap between the different IBM, but on this basics chapter I will introduce two strong fundamentals of all basic layers. So here the mask I have here. So one of the main features of dispenser is obviously that it's procedure. I can go any of the point and I just select the mask, add a generator. Now I click any of one those kind, like I just select the edge. I just select the edge width kind of metal, and now change the wheel here, and I just create this kind of generator on object. So this is kind of roughness, kind of rust or any kind of dirt you can add on the object directly. So now it's kind of sample of maps. Let's look at what I continues with BMA material. So I'm going to press C to go into the channel and right back to the base color, and again press C for my height. Now for my roughness, my metallic, and my normal, and my normal plus height for my mesh. So otherwise we are going to press B key for my base colors, my bake colors. Now this is world space, normal ID, and we have ambient occasions curve, and also have position, thickness, and many more. So I'm going to back to my regular, which I pressing M key for material. So these are basic keys: key for channel, C for channel, M for material, B for bake. And now these are some cool stuff what you can do very fast. So we are talking about keys. Now I do navigation, which is, so basically I have also told you the before part 1. So let's revise this. Alt key, middle mouse button to going like move of this object. Alt key. Now I press right mouse button, right click and moving up and down. Here you can zoom in and out of an object. So, and alt key, press left mouse button and allow me to this kind of rotation. So let's recap. C for channel, B for bake, M for material, alt shift right click and you can rotate the lighting simulation, and let's alt left mouse button to rotate, right mouse button and alt right mouse button to zoom in, zoom out. So this is just a basic, you can also know that. So we are talking about some viewport keys, and let us show to remember that we can also use tab key to allow me to get a bigger interface like this. Just press tab key here. So we can use the right click button. Now we have this axis of parameter directly on my screen. So this is kind of properties of the generator or any parameter applied on object. You can just right click. Now here you can see we have 3D view to 2D view. So just press F2 for 3D only, F3 for UV, and when I'm on the UV panel here, so actually I can paint directly on UV itself. So I can add a paint layer so to my mask and I can paint here, you can see. So it's exactly what's going to happen now. If I look F2, F1 and F3 here, I rotate and I look here for you, you can see on my 3D panel we have red stroke brush strokes here. So I back to F1 and F3. This is my UV. Now the key of navigation here is same like alt middle mouse button, alt right mouse button and alt left mouse button to rotate. You can see. Now press F3 to back to my material, and this is my 3D view. So if you don't want to press, you can directly change to on the panel on the upright here. 3D view, 3D only and 3D 2D F1. You can see. So let's go back to 3D only. This is my preview now. So next up we want to look into like this perspective view and orthographic view. So I'm going to orthographic this panel, kind of flat surface. It's not perfectly aligned, it's not going to work, but it can do a shift alt left mouse button. You can see it can rotate and snap to a 90 degree, perfect 90 degree here. As I go to perspective view, I can rotate 90 degree all the time, but my object is not perfectly aligned. So the world anyway. So since we are on the camera, you can get free rotation in consideration free rotation. Basically whatever I click, I rotate with respect to world, and I'm going to pivot point to camera. Now in concern rotation is a kind of a center of my object or a center of my scene. So you can see, I think at this point we can move to the next step, but we do that little recaps. C for channel, B for bake, and M for material. Very simple. So let's moving on. So let us move on the brushes here. Now before we go into this brushes, we need to make sure that we were in grab the brushes from right. Double click on this icon here, or you can look at here. We have different option for brushes and different alphas that I can change my alpha to, and I want this kind of alpha, you can see. So it's going to into my brushes, so I can also start to play with some spacing or some other parameters of properties of brushes. So now you can see, let's grab this one and just talk on this object. You can see there is a different alphas and different pattern is painted on object. Now we can move with something different parameter and size of jitter and the follow jitter and angle of jitter and position and many more. So we can do all that in a little window. So we can save our brush and we can just go to this shelf here, and here is my look into my brushes section, and here we have to offer a different kind of brushes on a single panel. You can see we have lot of brushes here you can use to create a different kind of pattern, rusting and color combination, layer combination and many more. So on, and I'm using a paint layer. So at this point I can come and change my properties of any kind of these colors and painting. So I have just reach and increase the height. Let's take this down back, and this is very interesting and very useful to change and all these parameter at any time with my this fill layer. So I can go and set a settings. Anytime I can come and change my perspective. So here I can change revolution of 5112 frames, and I'm going to like whatever I just did, and in this object not a big deal. Well, I guess what maybe I'm going to paint now here on 512 frames or a revolution. So let's go here and just I'm going to paint in this revolution, low revolution. So right, it kind of blur kind of. If I change to back to 2K, now I'm going to appear that this is very useful to create first in 521K, and I can change at any time to 2K. So you can see the clearness is quite interesting and powerful also, because if your computer system is low, you can work on 512 revolution. After that you can increase your revolution at any time. So I can erase my mask here, and at the same time I painted black right here. So I want to create a new layer and add a paint. Then I just painted black, and I did not really erase it, because if I come here and still the eraser is going on and make it go away. So I'm going to kill this and delete this layer. So like a Photoshop, you can delete any layer at any time, and we have multiple options also. So you can change them until you find one that you likes or you're suitable for your project. You can also decrease or increase the opacity of layer. Let's put it back to a normal here, and when you use this painter thing and the item Photoshop, it's going to save you lots of time. Just super easy. Just think about how you can use Photoshop layers or Photoshop workflow. You can simply copy it to in this substance painter. So I have this kind of Chrome button. So this is copy the other part of surface to this, like Photoshop. This is kind of cloning. So just choose clone absolute, and I can use which I don't really use, because clone myself is easy and comfortable for me. So this one I'm going to copy everything. Now on this kind of finger thing, I can just split this kind of color here. You can see you are going to paint stylized stuff, and I'm going to thumb everything here, and on this lower layer. Actually I can only do it on paint layer. So because in this paint layer I one of the generated, and I brush stroke on this layer. You can see I can spread out the color and giving kind of smooth texture here. Now the another way to work with this is using mask. Let's do it. Do the another paint layer and add a paint layer here, and I can select actually my geometry options here. I can select the pair of triangles, you can see. So I can paint or fill all kind of triangles on simple polygon. If I select polygons, a little bit better. So I can also draw a right, and I can select all the object. This is my object option, and it's not going to like what we have in the screen. It's going to be a polygon that we are physically attached to each other. But I can also select the pair of UV here. So if I select this kind of pair of UV, so it will fill all the UV here on directly on object. So I can perfectly select and what I want and which UV I want to paint. So I'm going to show you a little trick later, but when we change the back one. Okay, so let's moving on. So the next step we want to talk about might be, so now I'm going to grab a new layer, and now layer is going on like this, and just normal only. So I'm going to drop this kind of normal here on the surface, like something this. So I'm going to come here and just increase the size of this. So to do that, you can just click on this, and using this bracket here, left bracket, right bracket, to increase and decrease the size of brush, or you can just right click and drop down the settings of this brush, this kind of parameter here. So I could come here and I do control right click and control right click and going up and down. You can see left and right, again click right and right up and down. So while holding the control key, you can just increase and decrease the opacity and size of this map or brush. So I'm going to change this kind of opacity of my brush. So you can also change from the panel itself. So record is basically the flow, and now move up and down using control left click, allow me to rotate this brush. So this one is going to fade in and fade out control, right click up and down, fading and just adding this kind of one here and here, and I'm going to assign a red color here in my base, and again I'm going to add a black mask, and I'm going to be like and add a generator and any classic metal edgeware. So it's nice and denty, so it's like I were prime and following this kind of rust kind of metal junction. So you can see in this generator the way working is based on the map, and we have big at a beginning on this project, so don't worry, I'm going to show you how to use and solve this problem, because you cannot get the rust or dirt on my normal stocks that we have created. So just press my B key to go into this bake maps. So it does not exit here. You can see based on this curvature map to generate the mask, we can do is we can sit and just create using my paint layer and create by handed, just painted, use my paintbrush and create a small kind of rust or dirt by you using your hand. So this is very long and a lengthy process. So I have a small solution, and we have an idea. So I will show you that how you can create this kind of edge, metal edge rust on this normal itself. So first we going to here on this layer and create a normal layer right here just below our mask. and just add a anchor point. Here you can see anchor point that I'm going to call normal details. So I want to change the name, so it's not a problem, right? So let's click on the our generator, coming here down here. So I can come here, you can see there is a micro normal option. So I'm going to click down and use my anchor point using normal detail, and I'm going to make sure that normal detail is refreshing the normal channel, write the reference channel, because it's the normal one and we can use them for a different effect, a little bit more. So it might be rolled up, and now you are just walking on this properties here. Here the coming up we have a micro details. Now turn my micro normal on curvature, this kind of intensity you can see on the panel we have working, and we don't need this one, so we don't, just a little bit maybe more. You can see we have an effect on my normal edges also, so it's working smooth and standard. Now here you can see we have a decent map here. Now it's very important, if you do that you move up. So I'm going to work because your anchor point always need to be at the bottom. Here you can here at the bottom of your anchor or generator. So